Hello, and welcome back to The Wish Fulfilled. I am Dr. Cindy Joseph, and we are on episode 2. Um, of course, I'm talking about my process in my manifestation journey and my consciousness awakening journey. And what I wanted to talk about today is when I first started meditating, I noticed that visions would come to me. I felt like this is like my first lesson. But the first thing that I kind of noticed was I just saw like my childhood, like very, very early on childhood. It was actually moments that I just did not anticipate that I would remember, like really early on, like I was really, really young, and I can see myself being placed in my parents' hands. And I caught a flash of vision of that. Then I caught a flash of vision of like my mother, and then there were just like other things that came to me during that time. When I came out of the meditation, what came to me, just like a knowing, was a question about my worthiness and whether or not I felt like I was worthy. Now, this was interesting for this meditation because I did not go in having questions about my worthiness, and for me to come out of it with that statement was really, really intriguing to me. And I do a lot of introspection because of my profession. And I just really like took a deep dive into like, what could all this mean? And again, you often get it as a knowing and not necessarily like a perplex kind of thing. It's kind of like when you have a dream and you see someone and you can't really make out their face, but you know it's this individual, right? So it was kind of a knowing that I had that it was about worthiness. And I never had that thought ever in my entire life of whether or not I was worthy of anything. It's not something I think about consciously. It's not something that I like run the mill about at all. But for me to encounter this meditation and that be the thing that comes up after the meditation was really interesting to me. I started to go down a line of what the meditation was kind of showing me. And one of the things that came out is my parents and me as an infant and so on and so forth. I was raised in a single parent household, and I could probably tout all day that that does not matter, but I think deep down, it matters. And so your worthiness as a kid begins in the fact that why is there not two parents there? That was definitely something that came across my mind. And I think for a lot of people who are raised in single parent households, they may question that where you're wondering about the other parent and is it you and so on and so forth. Now, for me, I didn't consciously think about those things, but I knew the vision of that showing it to me, that had to be a huge part of it for me. That was definitely part of something that I had to really consider. The other thing is because I was raised in a single parent household, achievement became like a thing, like going to school and being able to get good grades and that sort of thing. And I did. I got good grades. And I think among my siblings, that was probably something that made me stand out. And as a kid, whenever a thing makes you stand out, like if you're a dancer or you're funny or whatever it is, that becomes a part of your identity. And I have to admit that became a huge part of my identity. Being able to achieve, being able to meet the mark, so to speak. And I would work tirelessly to reach that mark. But innate in that is the fact that you're achieving to prove something. And that in and of itself begs to question worthiness in some ways. So achievement is a huge part of my identity, and I'm realizing it's also a crutch for me with regards to this journey of self-worth and me feeling good enough. If I'm constantly striving to be good enough or to show that I'm worthy by achieving degrees or getting good grades or whatever the case may be, then it makes you question like whether or not you feel like you're good enough just by yourself. The other thing that I comes up for me when I think about worthiness in my personal life is the thoughts around and the ideas around money. And I can recall, like, as a little kid, how grown-ups would talk and they would say things like, oh, that's a really good paying job. And back then, this is back in the 80s, back then, 80s and 90s, it was like 60,000 was really good. It was a good paying job. And it's really, really important that I highlight that because that sort of information gave me sort of a goal mark, so to speak. Like if I made 60 or above, that I was doing okay. And so I started to receive information around money and the limits and what would be good enough when it came to money. And there's other things that came with the idea of money, and that was like religion and how the saying goes, money is the root of all evil. I remember going to college and thinking to myself, I'm just going to be modest. I don't need too much. I'll just have this much and that's good enough. I won't strive for, this big car or this big that or whatever. If my parents could speak to you guys, they would probably say that Cindy was like the easiest person to deal with because I just wouldn't complain about wanting the best this or the best that. I would be okay with just as is. And so that really brings me to thoughts around what I thought was good money. And it goes into as an adult, what I strive for, and what becomes my invisible limit, in thinking about money. And I say invisible because these things are all in your subconscious. It's not upfront in the consciousness. Like if I were to say it out loud, that I have this invisible limit with regards to money, I would think I'm crazy. I would quickly deny it. But what's undeniable is when you really reach back in and recall these stories and say to yourself, like, how does this show up every day for me? How am I connected to this? And we can talk more about this as we move forward. But I just want to highlight just different things that was interesting to me in reflecting on like my worthiness. The other piece was being a Black woman. And I can say that I purposely attended an HBCU. I purposely chose a psychology program that was very, very Afrocentric because I wanted to learn about my people. And I don't have any regrets about those things. I think those were purposeful choices that I made because I was in search of self and understanding and better knowing self. Um, but that also led to me being very, very Black, which is not a bad thing. I want to highlight that. That is not a bad thing. However, adopting ideas about me perhaps being less than or worrying about when I walk into a room, would someone judge me on the fact that I am et cetera, et cetera. Um, that's not where I am today, but it's part of the fabric of my story that I would walk into a room and I would say, hey, I am Dr. So and so, because I would anticipate that as a Black woman, that would not be a welcomed idea or a considered idea, or I was trying to prove my worth, so to speak. Um, these are all very raw things that I'm saying here. Um, but yeah, it's very interesting that I thought that way back then, and I don't think that way today. I don't carry that on me in the same way. I think it's important that it's understood that I'm proud to be Black and Haitian and a woman and all of those things, but I take on none of any of the stigmas or the social ideas that come with those identities that may be shortcoming or limiting for me. That's just not in the place, that's not the place that I'm in right now. So I can go on and on and on around the pieces of worthiness that I had to like go back and uncover and really take a good look at. And I say that because we all have to do it. There are subconscious things in our histories that would point to us questioning our worthiness, and not in a overt way, but in a way where it feels so small that you couldn't even pinpoint it. But it takes a lot of like awareness for you to really uncover that and see it. Because sometimes when we're manifesting, that is the thing that's holding us back. So I recalled wanting to manifest a certain amount of money, and I had to really ask myself, like, why did I say that amount? Why not bigger? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, why? And I had to confront that invisible ceiling and break all potential psychological barriers that comes with um, thinking that I am worth this much or I am able to obtain this much. Um, so that's just one aspect of it, but it shows up in so many different ways. And I think for a lot of people, it can be like your worthiness with regards to securing a job or obtaining a degree or obtaining the love of your life. You know, feeling worthy within yourself is such a gold mine of a thing to have for you. There's nothing like it. And I would I would beg for you to take a journey inward and really uncover what that is for you. What are the areas that I need to unlock, that I need to unchain, that I need to untether for myself so that I walk into this world boldly and fearlessly, holding nothing back and giving all of me and everything I have to give, and achieving and grabbing for all that is mine, because whatever I want, I have. So it was really, really interesting to me that that was the first lesson that I learned in my journey of meditation. And in the moment, I thought it was meditation, but looking back in retrospect, because there were so many other lessons after, it was a spiritual awakening for me, and it started there. And now that I truly understand this journey of spirituality, it had to start there. It has to start there with regards to who you are, how do you see you, and unlocking all of the limitations that come with you not being the highest and greatest and grandest part of you. What is that about? And how do we start to look at that? Spirituality and worthiness, um, it's our birthright. It's our birthright because we were made in God's image and in his likeness. And so if we're made in his image and we're made in his likeness, we are indeed perfect. I say that again. We are indeed perfect. I want you to know that you are perfect. It's perfection for us to breathe in and out effortlessly without any effort on our own. For our blood to pump through our veins like a perfect symphony. For our wounds to heal naturally. For our ability to have children miraculously. We are perfection on this earth. We are perfection. So really, really take a deep dive into what perfection is for you and really begin to detach from any of the world's programming around that and really sit in your perfection, knowing that you are perfect with the crooked teeth. You are perfect with the alopecia. You are perfect with your brown skin. You are perfect just the way that you are in every bit of it. And your perfection shows up even more when you realize that you are also worthy. You're also worthy. To believe in your worthiness is to unlock the doors of your greatest potential. So I ask you, what holds you back? If you were to believe that you are truly, truly, truly worthy, what would hold you back? What would stop you from showing up in this world in the greatest version of yourself? What would you believe in if you truly felt that you were worthy? Worthy of love, worthy of financial fortune, worthy of a healthy family, worthy of a successful business, worthy of regard. Because that you are. You are truly, truly worthy. So I want to pause this episode and allow you to reflect on that. I would love to hear from you within the comment section if there was anything that resonated with you. If there's aspects, if you're so brave enough to say, aspects of you that you discovered that you were feeling unworthy of. And it could be in a very invisible kind of way in your subconscious. But now you realize that. And you are now walking in your truth. So I would love to hear from you in the comment section. Like this video and subscribe. Would love to continue to engage in this journey with you guys. Until next time, Dr. Joseph.